enough to say this. I've seen two movements outside of the social justice movements in my life on the political side. One was the Reagan movement. Reagan had a hold on his base, the country at large. They saw him as someone who was willing to stand up for American values, whatever that might have meant. Now, I thought it was reactionary. The other movement I saw was Barack Obama, hope and change. That galvanized the American people. I've never seen anything like this with Donald Trump. I mean, what doesn't kill you make you stronger? I mean, being convicted, being indicted, that's making him stronger. Raising $10 million using an ugly mugshot to raise money. This is a movement. And anyone who thinks that you can apply the old political rules to trying to defeat this candidate based on he's scary, he's ugly, whatever you might want to call it, this is a movement. And we have to respect the fact that it's a movement.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. The rich men north, the rich men, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
This world has changed and I had to accept it. They ask my political views while I search for their hidden agendas. I don't got an answer, I try to remember the devil divides. Pressure appears from our peers. Those arguments waste our time while helping to push their lies, so fuck political views. I got common sense. I know God made man, and the sun sets on a life where we focus on things that we cannot control and accumulate so much regret. By the time we decide to live, we're practically already dead. So I go to sleep with the thoughts of 45 years living in debt, 45 years can't pay rent, 45 years just for a pension I'm too old to enjoy and go spend, 45 years working and slaving for rich men with no time for my family and friends. Then I wake up and pray that it ends.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. The rich men north, the rich men, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
Descendants of Adam and Eve, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They're taking God out the schools. Our kids don't know what to believe. From 6 to 18, the curriculum fails and Gen Z gets taught by their phones with force feeds that get sponsored and paid by companies. That's how they attack us, it starts with the youth. If you lie enough, you'll convince anybody the lie's the truth. So telling these kids they can choose their own gender at ages they can't even tie their own shoes. Drive or drink is crazy. Common sense isn't common unless it pays me. That's the thought process daily. Look at the content we're creating, lies diluting our brains. I'm done trying to argue online with these people who think that a vote's gonna bring about change. How many presidents does it take to have a life worth living? An actual comfortable wage. No more school shootings. Let's unite these states.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world.
Y'all gotta go check this one out, man. Hold on, let me y'all need to go check that song out, man. It's actually made by this dude named Dax, as you see here in the video. I found it over here on my X page over there on Twitter. But y'all go check him out. This is his page. He's at that's Dax. Looks like he's got a tour or something coming up. I don't know. I like what I'm seeing from this dude though, so you should definitely go check him out. I really like his rendition of that song. Hopefully I don't get like a copyright strikes or something like that for that. But yeah, fantastic song, man. I love seeing the mix. And I really feel like he's speaking just like the song does, and just like so many people do. He's speaking the truth, man. Like, people are over it. People are over this administration. People are over the inflated prices. People are over all the lies, all the media manipulation, all the gross stuff that's been going on. Man, I am too. By the way, who am I? I'm Drew Smith. This is We Talk Freely. And I go through my feeds and I go through the different news media websites and I pull out things that I find relevant for the day and kind of go over them and go over the I guess the general opinion that everyone has, and my keypad is messed up. and just try to bring the truth out to you the best that I can and bring you the sources of where I get everything. The first video I pulled off of Truth, you can see is one of the mainstream news media feeds. But yeah, I'll definitely show you guys where I get it all from, tell you where I get it all from, because I don't want to hide anything here. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of shows out there have been doing for a long time. They just want to show you snippets and little bits of information, but they don't want to show you the whole story. So I'm going to show you as much as I can find. And I'm going to give you my opinion on things. And if I'm wrong, please drop down there in the comments. Let me know what you think. We had somebody on one of the previous episodes that wanted to post their opinion. Didn't post any facts, but I appreciate it anyway. You know, let me know how you feel, because I want to see what the temperature of America really is. Of course, being a conservative, I follow some conservative sites, and of course it's all doom and gloom over here. But whenever I go over to the Democrat or left-leaning sites, you know, they're all like, hey, everything's great, the economy's great, immigration's not a problem, you know, the schools are great, everything's fine. And I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing it. Not seeing it at all. I don't think the rest of America is. Actually, there's another one here. Another little video I want to pop up real quick. There's my screen. And this is from Mike Carter from Newsmax. And he did a little on the street interview thing here. And I'm going to throw the mic over there so you can hear what he's saying.
No joke. But a recent Reuters Ipsos poll shows nearly 70% of Americans say the economy is worse now than when the pandemic began in 2020. So, who's right?
I'm not exactly for sure what Bidenomics means.
Bidenomics. Have you heard of that word?
Bye?
Bidenomics, yeah.
You've heard of it. Is it working for Americans?
Hell no.
Everything's way more expensive, but my paycheck is not any bigger than it was before.
I'm feeling it. I mean, everything is going up except the income.
The president says inflation is going down. Are you feeling that when you look at the prices at the grocery store?
No, not particularly. It's kind of double, but it stayed double for quite a while.
Strawberries went up to $11. Eggs went up to $7. Butter went up. Everything is up.
Are you better off financially now than you were 4 years ago?
I think I was better off when Trump was in office.
Inflation's going down, unemployment's low. Are these good numbers to point to?
My interest rate isn't, so.
I think he's not that good at math. It costs me a lot more now to fill up my car with gas or to buy food in a grocery store.
So when he points to low unemployment numbers, are those good metrics to say, hey, the economy, it's working again?
No, hey, I'm a numbers person. You can make numbers do whatever you want.
Are you better off financially than you were 4 years ago?
Yes, because I work 2 jobs.
Oh yeah, I'm taking up 2 spots? There you go.
In New York, for Newsmax, I'm Mike Carter.
Yeah, like I said, you know, maybe it is biased reporting or something like that, but Mike Carter in his report there, he sure was able to find a lot of people for it to be some biased reporting. That wasn't just 1 or 2 people. That was a bunch of people that seemed to be sharing in the same opinion of most Americans that I talk to as well. I don't know about y'all, but man, going to the grocery store is painful. You know, it's... The other day, or yesterday, I went to the grocery store and I spent over $60. And I saw, what did I bring home? A pastry, some potato chips, some Oreos for the little one, some cereal and milk. Not really much outside of that. Oh yeah, I bought myself a sandwich and some crackers. Like $60. Are you kidding me? You know, I'm not super old, but I'm old enough to remember that $60 could fill an entire grocery cart with some stuff on the bottom rack there. You know, some 12 packs of soda and a giant thing of toilet paper down there. But $60 now, I'm getting that little mini cart now, and that's $60 worth of groceries. And you know, that doesn't say that we're in a good economy. That doesn't tell me that Bidenomics is actually working in any form or fashion. You know, again, jump down in the comments below if your experience in this country is different. I definitely want to hear it. But I don't think most people are living any differently than I am. You know. From the Gateway Pundit, they want to expand upon what I'm talking about now. And I'll read over this a little bit with you. It says, a new report said a majority of Americans are just squeaking by as a mountain of debt grows taller and taller. How about for you? How is your financial status? Are you using credit cards? Are you taking out loans? Or, you know, how are you getting through the Bidenomics time? Is this true? As of July, 61% of adults in a lending club survey said they were living paycheck to paycheck, according to CNBC. The study found that 78% of consumers who earn under $50,000 a year and 65% of those who make between $50,000 and $100,000 annually were living paycheck to paycheck in July. 44% of those earning more than $100,000 a year were living check to check, the study also said. Consumers are undoubtedly, and this is quote, consumers are undoubtedly continuing to feel the impact of inflation and rising interest rates, said Chris Fred, the head of TD Bank's credit cards and unsecured lending. None of this sounds like a good economy. You know, and I'll go back before Trump, back before Obama, right? During the Bush administration, and, you know, let's go all the way back to old Bill Clinton. Things were way better back then. You know, I had a roommate during the Clinton administration, I believe it was. And he and I had an apartment, and I was going to school at the time, and we were working minimum wage jobs. And with that minimum wage that we were bringing in, we had enough to pay the bills at the apartment, pay the rent, pay for vehicles that we both had purchased. You know, I had a little pickup truck at the time. He had a Firebird. And he had all the sound system stuff, and I had a bunch of neon lights. It was all like Fast and the Furious kind of stuff, you know? Like, we had money to just spend on dumb stuff back then. But I look at things now, I make way more money than I made then. I make way more now. But I couldn't even, you know, even though I'm a dad, you know, putting that to the side, you know, I couldn't even think about buying stuff like that, even if I didn't have a child and I wasn't paying for anything. There's no way. I have a second part-time job that I do, and I do some karaoke and DJ stuff on the side just to make a little bit extra money. That job there, and that only works 2 days, that makes more money than I made in the early 2000s. And that I just basically use for gas money and stuff. Like, that's no real income. Like, all of this inflation and all the price inflation of all the products, everything that we buy, has just gotten so far out of control that a dollar doesn't do anything. And if you don't believe me that things were cheaper back then, I don't know if y'all remember Luna's, artist from back in the day. He had a song, I got 5 on it. You know, like 5 on it actually meant something. You know, if a homie called you up and said, yo, I got $5 to take me across town, you're like, sure. That's like at least a quarter of a tank, half a tank of gas. Depending on the car, if you had a Civic, yeah, it's like almost a half a tank of gas. You know, my old pickup truck, I think it was like 30 total bucks to fill the whole tank. And yeah, so things were a lot better back then. So what ended up happening? Well, we kept borrowing against things. We kept instituting new federal programs that forced people, or not forced people, but we instituted all these new federal programs that people could lean on instead of earning on themselves. And so instead of making their own income, they would, you know, get that check. You know, remember back in the day, was it Bone Thugs, you know, wake up, wake up, wake up, it's the first of the month, you know, that old song. You know, that was a song talking about getting welfare checks at the first of the month. You know, you got your money, everything was good on the first of the month. You know, and so we kind of instituted that into our culture, and that is a huge part of what has brought us to where we are today. We're not putting anything into the economy, we're constantly taking. And so now I know you guys hear about, you know, Congress always in a battle about raising the debt ceiling. And the higher and higher and higher that we raise the debt ceiling means more and more and more cash is put into the pot. And that makes our dollar more and more useless. And so like you saw in that one video, Buddy was rattling off, you know, like eggs are $7, you know, like everything has just gone up in price. It's not really that it's gone up in price. The reality of it is the dollar has lost its value. And that's the hardest thing to overcome, because how do we get rid of this inflationary problem? The only way we could honestly like start putting value back today is if like everybody in the world at the same time took a $20 bill out of $20 USD dollar bill out of their pocket and literally just burned it. We have to put scarcity to it. And I think honestly that's why Democrats are so afraid of things like cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency has what's called a burn rate, and we were taking digital money, you know, that is the same as the actual physical cash that we have, and a lot of the cryptocurrencies with their burn rates were actually burning off money and restoring some economic value to our economy. And I think that's what scares Democrats so much. And that's why I kind of listen to a lot of these like tinfoil hatty people, you know, and they talk about, oh, the Democrats just want to destroy the economy. They want to destroy our country. And I'm like, well, you know, if they do that, they're kind of like spiting themselves. You know, they're cutting off their nose to spite their face kind of a thing. But at the same time, when I see things that are actually helping our economy, that are actually building our economy, even though a few people were failing during the whole crypto boom, many people were coming up. And it gave people opportunity to be independently wealthy, which is something that most people can't do under the Biden administration. You know, and I definitely suggest you guys go read up on this article. I know I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but there's one other thing that I wanted to kind of step into on this article. I wanted to read out here. Credit card debt reached $1.03 trillion in the second quarter of the year, according to The Week. Credit card delinquencies hit 7.2%. Quote, the increase in delinquencies and defaults is symptomatic of the tough decisions that sorry y'all, it's late, that these households are having to make right now, whether to pay their credit card bills, their rent, or buy groceries, said Mark Zandi, Moody's Analytics chief economics, according to the Washington Post. The Post noted that annual credit card interest rate is 20.6%. I want y'all to think about that for a second. 20.6%. So that means on $100, you owe $20.60. If you have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands in credit card debt, which, gosh, I hope you guys don't, that number gets ridiculous, and that's every single year. If it's going to take you 5-7 years to pay that credit card off, it's almost impossible. Like, you're trying to make minimum payments just to get by, and you've got this 20.6% reoccurring interest being slapped on top of you. You'll never get out from under that. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Oh yeah, college debt. This is the same thing that college students are going through. But now regular families, regular households, regular people are being forced into it. People that don't even have college debts are being forced into it. And geez, if you're somebody who has the college debt and now you have these credit card debts, goodness, how do you ever come out from underneath all of this? To me, these are perfect building blocks for economic collapse, no matter how well you individually may be doing. If there's a majority or a large, massive group of people that are doing this, there's going to need to be some kind of bailout, and this is just going to be another huge chunk of our economy that's completely destroyed. Is the Biden economy going to swoop in, or is the Biden administration going to swoop in and give credit card bailouts now? What's next? Home loan bailouts? Like, and all of that comes from who? From our tax surplus, which we don't even have a surplus. We're in debt. So they're going to put more to our national debt. And so the guy who's working the garbage truck every day, the guy who's digging ditches, the woman or man who's teaching at the schools, the everyday working class person, they're the ones that are going to have to pay for that nonsense. Is that fair? You know, a big portion of these people that can even get credit cards, that can get college loans, they come from wealthier situations. Maybe not rich, but they're able to actually get approved for these loans, or they have family members and stuff that are wealthy enough that they can co-sign it. But they're going to pass that debt off to you. None of that's fair. None of that's right. I don't like where this is going, and I really don't think most of Americans do either. But at the end of it, you can at least say this. Biden is uniting people, right?
Joe Biden has done something good for the American people. He done brought Asians, Latinos, blacks, whites, all together, all religions. The Muslim people rocking with us, Christians, all religions. Like Donna Brazile said today on ABC, this is a movement like she never seen before. Trump 2024, baby, it's a movement. Black Man Thoughts, and I'm out. Peace.
My dude's right. He is bringing people together like never before. I don't know if you saw my last episode, which, by the way, was one of my highest viewed episodes. So thank you so much, everybody who tuned in and watched that. I'm very blessed and very thankful to see those kind of numbers, and I hope to see them on this episode, and keep them coming. Keep sharing it out. I'm going to try to make sure that I get music videos on every episode that I can, as I've gotten a lot of good feedback from that. People really enjoy the music I've been throwing up. I do worry about the YouTube copyright strikes, but I'll do everything that I can, and I'll figure it out. But yeah, man, again, thank you so much for all the love and all the feedback that I've gotten for it. People in the Discords that I hang out with, they've all given me great compliments, and I'm very appreciative of all that. But like my dude says right here, Biden has united so many of us. I've talked to so many people on the left that are waking up to all of this that's going on, all different skin tones, all different gender identities, and we're all uniting that our current president just sucks. And I think that's kind of awesome, at least on that. I try to keep a positive outlook on all of this and try to look at everything as the glass is half full. So, hey, good on unity, I guess. So moving on into other news, in today's Labor Day, so we really didn't have a lot uploaded. I'm thankful for the few news groups that did put something up today and did come in on their day off. I guess would be their day off, but the news never stops. And last episode we talked about how Republicans in Georgia aim to go after Fani Willis, and Brian Kemp actually went out of his way to kind of swat it down. Well, the interesting thing is, and this is an article here from the Conservative Brief, and let me, just so to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Republicans are now finding a way to kind of get around Brian Kemp trying to block by using something from Brian Kemp, which I thought was pretty cheeky and smart, So the article goes on to say, a growing number of state Republican lawmakers in Georgia are examining ways to stop Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from prosecuting former President Donald Trump after she indicted him and 18 others over racketeering allegations linked to the 2020 election. Soon, quote, soon after the indictment against Trump and others was filed, discussions were underway to have Willis removed from office or face investigations and impeachment hearings over allegations of a partisan probe against the former president and frontrunner in the 2024 GOP primary, Newsweek noted on Wednesday. One move some GOP lawmakers are considering is using a law signed by Republican Governor Brian Kemp in May that would allow them to establish a new commission with the authority to remove local prosecutors who are deemed unable to fulfill their constitutional or statutory duties. In a statement released then, Kemp's office said that the creation of the Prosecuting Attorneys Qualification Commission, PAC-C, P-A-Q-C, which is set to begin receiving complaints about prosecutors starting from October 1st, will function as a valuable oversight mechanism for district attorneys within the state. I think this is a really good avenue to go. I know Republicans are trying to keep everything as legit as possible, and that's very important. We don't want, conservatives, Republicans, and most common sense people, we don't want to go down a road where we're just smearing each other or using the media as a weapon or a tool to attack the other side and force judges and force juries to make decisions that are actually unconstitutional and violate individual rights. We do need to do this right, and if this is a law or a procedure that Governor Kemp put into place, then we should use it. These lawmakers should definitely use it. They should definitely do everything that they can, because I don't know, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on in all of this. If you're about finding the truth, if you're about seeing what's really going on in this and not just running with the rhetoric, then you want to see the right thing to happen here. You know that what Fani Willis is doing it's personal. It has nothing to do with law. Donald Trump called Brian Kemp because there was evidence that was coming out. In last episode, I believe it was, I showed you the video that people were very, very concerned about. And I also explained in that episode that the people were concerned that the court case was dismissed. It was never actually heard. There was no official judgment made on the issues. And that's the thing that concerns me the most. Because I look at, regular people like you and me. If your vehicle, like you get pulled over, your vehicle smells like just weird, like you got some bad BO, that gives cops the opportunity to go through your vehicle and search it out and everything like that. Innocent or guilty, now you're all of a sudden being looked at as guilty. That kind of behavior it's wrong. It plain out is wrong. If you're not actually doing anything wrong, then nothing else should be happening like that. This is the kind of stuff here where they're taking something small that they think could be something, and they're railroading a former president as if he is guilty of something. And in reality, he's not. He was looking at these numbers here that I want to show you. And I'm going to duplicate them for myself so I can read it. Yep, thank you. This is an article from the Federalist, and let's see here. The article is titled "Media's entire Georgia narrative is fraudulent, not just the fabricated Trump quotes." And there is so much in this article. This is one of the long ones, so I understand, you know, if you don't have a lot of time to sit down and read, trust me on this, but definitely go check out that article. It's a really, really good one. It goes over a lot of the events that have happened recently, and it just kind of recaps all the truth. But there was a reason why Donald Trump was really concerned. You know, not only did he see that video that I showed you in the last episode, so I highly suggest go back and check it. If you're new to the channel, go check out what I'm talking about. You know, that was really weird with Rosa and the ballots and the suitcases and everything. I don't know what's going on there, but I think the Americans need to know. But, so by the numbers here, this is the stuff that he was hearing. People that were registered to vote. We had 2,560 felons, which you're not supposed to be able to vote as a felon, which I don't agree with. I do think that probably needs some augmenting at the very least, because felons, you know, you come out of prison and everything like that. The prison's called the reform system, and I think once you're out, at least you should be able to get your right to vote back, because a lot of these laws impact you, and you should have a saying in it. And your knowledge of what it's like to be through the legal system, I think, makes you as strong a voter, if not a stronger voter than most. 66,247 underaged registrants. Now that is a problem. We have a rule set in stone here. If you're 18, that's when you get to vote. If you're underage, 17 years and 11 months, that's still not 18. You can vote in the next one, you know. 2,423 people who are not on the state voter roll. And if you're not in the state, you should not be, or if you're not registered in the state, you shouldn't be voting. I mean, that's not a big number, but we'll get to all that here in a minute. 4,926 voters who had registered in another state after they registered in Georgia, making them ineligible. Now, I actually had a couple of people on my Facebook timeline during this election that had admitted to that and even bragged, saying, I helped get Biden elected. My vote counted twice. And they were making all these wild claims, like, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, you are literally admitting on Facebook voter fraud. And so for anyone to say that there's zero fraud at all in that last election, you have to go look at some of that stuff. There was some. Whether you like to admit it or not, even if it was a micro itty bitty percentage, that is fraudulent. And people did admit to doing that. These are kind of people who had registered in Georgia, then they moved, or they were in the process of moving, had already registered in their new state and were able to register here in Georgia, and then when they moved, they were able, or they had voted here in Georgia, and then when they moved, and a couple days later, they were able to vote again in another state because of the absentee voting and all of that. So that was something very serious. Now here's another small number. 395 people who cast votes in another state for the same election. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And these are numbers that they were able to track at the time. 15,700 voters who had filed national change of address forms without re-registering. 40,279 people who had moved counties without re-registering, 1,043 people who claimed the physical impossibility of a P.O. box as their address, 98 people who registered after the deadline, and among others, 10,315 people who were deceased on election day, 8,718 of whom had been registered as dead before their votes were accepted. We always made the jokes that dead people would vote. But now you actually have documented proof that that's exactly what was happening. So these were all things that when Donald Trump had made that famous phone call, these were the kind of numbers that were starting to pour in on him. You take those kinds of numbers and then you compare them to, and then you add them with the videos and all the different claims that were coming out. I think Trump had every right to call our governor and say, hey, you need to get a handle on all of this. You need to get this figured out. Because if there is a bunch of improper voting that's happening, that needs to be taken off the rolls. You know, according to this article, the 64-page complaint is a linear cognitely presented description of numerous election law violations, apparently based on hard data. If true, the allegations would potentially disqualify nearly 150,000 illegal votes in a state that Biden won by only 12,000. Again, go back to that video that you watched on my stream last episode, and you'll see I think her name was Rosa. You'll see the people in that video rerunning thousands of votes. And like the attorney said in the video, each machine was able to handle 3,000 votes. There was more than 3 machines, and they were running for 2 hours, making the magic number of 12,000 very possible from Fulton County alone. Now, the numbers that I just read off were statewide, so that is definitely something that needs to be looked into as a whole. Even if it doesn't overturn an election, doesn't reverse any decisions or anything like that, that's fine. But what we need is honesty and transparency on the issue. For these media organizations to run around saying that everything was clean and clear and there was no funny business or anything of the sort, that's just all blatant lie at this point. So, with that being said, I'm going to make today's episode a little bit shorter than usual. Maybe you guys will like the shortened episode. I don't know. Let me know in the comments down before. Again, my name is Drew Smith, and I love hearing from you guys. I love seeing the comments. I love getting the feedback. So please let me know what you think about any of the stories or any of the videos or anything. Or just drop in and say hello or something, and don't forget, most importantly, I need those likes down there. Likes, follows, all that good stuff. I need some interaction with the channel. I want to keep growing this thing, and the more we can grow it, maybe I can think about monetizing and doing stuff like that. And then, who knows, the sky's the limits. I really want to get to a point where I'm bringing other people in on the show. I want to bring in other perspectives, even maybe your perspective, like I want to get more live stuff going on. Like, oh, right there. You see this little box right here? This is supposed to be filled with live chat, and so like all of that stuff. That's stuff I'm gonna look to do here in the future. But it takes time, and I've got to earn money. Like I said, I'm a family man. I got a child to feed, so. Growing this channel is very important, and getting honest information out there is very important. And to do that, we need the feedback, we need the interaction, we need the algorithms on our side so we can grow. And if it grows big enough, then I'm going to stop doing everything else that I'm doing, and I'll focus completely right here. And I find that prospect very exciting, and I hope you do too. I hope you enjoyed this show. The show is brought to you by, right there, yeah, Green Table Gaming and The Local Spin. Go check them out. They got a great news report with Bill Edwards and Brittany Brown. You know, give them some love and tell them I sent you. And but until then, y'all stay safe.